Whew, we're going deep. Hey everyone, I'm Abbey Sharp. Welcome to Abby's Kitchen. Today's video is sponsored by Built Bar, and I want to share my thoughts on Will Smith's YouTube documentary, Best Shape of My Life. But first, let me tell you about my sponsor, Built Bar. It is snack o'clock around here, and I am très excited for today's Built Bar snack. Pardon my terrible French. I'm a bad Canadian. Let's bust into this bad boy. What are we feeling like today? I'm digging. Ooh, I see my favorite back here. Cookies and cream. She is good. Feeling like a cookie. The song that's in my head, I'm gonna make my editor guess. Just kidding, I'll tell you. Get it, get it, get it. Is that a song?
That's the forbidden dance.
I'm into this. These are my favorite protein bars, really the only bar I like, because I like bars that taste like chocolate bars, not chalk. That's key distinction. But these ones are packed with protein, so bonus. Now, some of my favorite ways to eat a Built Bar include on oatmeal, so good, yogurt, a little ice cream, straight up naked. The bars, obviously, not me, though no shade if that's your thing. But if you want to give these bars a try, check out my promo code AbbeySharp15 to get 15% off of your order. Okay, and a quick disclaimer and trigger warning that this series deals with not only dieting, but also themes related to domestic and childhood abuse. So definitely do not watch if that's not supportive to your journey. And if you're not already subscribed, hit that subscribe button, hit the little dingy ding bell so that you don't miss out, and follow me over on TikTok and Instagram at Abby's Kitchen. All right, to set the stage here, Will Smith started a YouTube documentary in November to document writing his memoir and his goal to lose 20 pounds in 20 weeks. So today I'm going to be discussing some of my key takeaways from the series as it relates to Will's weight loss goal. First of all, I want to discuss one of the major cautionary tales of this series, which is that the scale can actually be a dangerous tool for some, particularly for goal-oriented people. Now, throughout the series, we see Will getting on the scale regularly, and sometimes the number isn't what he wants to see. Like so many people, he expects to see linear weight loss every week to meet his 20-pound in 20-week goal. But as Will's journey demonstrates, nothing about weight loss is straightforward or simple. The challenge is that Will is highly goal-oriented. He sees what he wants, then he goes out and gets it. But weight is not necessarily something that we can precisely control. And what happens when someone who is highly motivated by meeting their goals doesn't actually meet them? Or as Will's psychologist puts it,
how the heck does this guy cope when he's not winning?
Well, it's not only frustrating, but it can actually trigger some potentially destructive behaviors when he doesn't lose his nice round weekly pound.
I've been doing this stupid crap, and I don't care what I weigh.
How you feeling this morning, Will?
Low energy.
Did you react to it in terms of the amount of food that you ate this week?
Yeah, I had 2 days worth of reaction. Boiled eggs, raw vegetables. That's it. And I was doing like 14 hours of fast. That was a bad week.
Yeah.
So this week is going to be ridiculous. Wake up, weigh in, run.
Lie down.
Then I'm into the bag.
First workout.
And a second workout.
Do a finisher just to blow it out.
I've been doing the writing session.
It's 4:27 a.m.
We're going running. And then going to shoot things. Training. I only got 4 hours and 28 minutes of sleep.
Will is motivated as and goal-oriented people like this will fight as long as they possibly can to get where they want to be. But even motivated people lose their drive when their source of validation, which in Will's case is the scale, becomes invalidating. And as his psychologist says,
The more a person is stretched, sooner or later, they snap.
Yep, they snap, they burn out, they get injured, as he did at one point in the journey, or they just throw in the towel and completely quit.
I don't want to do any of this. I'm finished with this project in my mind. We blew it. We missed it. It's over. and we got to stop, and I'm ready to stop.
Giving up on a goal is usually what happens when the goal is not entirely within our control, which, as you can imagine, is a tough loss for us goal-oriented people. And in this case, where Will's body weight chooses to land and at what pace is not something that he has direct control over, regardless of his commitment to his diet and fitness plan. And this brings me to my next big takeaway message here, which is that perfectionist all or nothing thinking is often our worst enemy when it comes to changing hard habits. I have to admit that watching this series was both triggering and therapeutic to me because personally, I saw a lot of myself in Will. I have struggled with perfectionist tendencies my whole life. And like Will, I feel like this has contributed to some of my successes, but also created major barriers to life success because it's created an anxiety that has at times prevented me from taking risks. What I see in Will is a relentless drive to go all in and to run to the top of the hill with that flag no matter what. And while this mentality is admirable in some cases and is undoubtedly an asset to his career success, it isn't without sacrifice. Now, from listening to Will's own storytelling in this series, it's apparent that this all or nothing mentality began at a very young age.
I was on a tear, the biggest winning streak in Hollywood history. I noticed that most people came back from Christmas vacation heavier and out of shape. So the holidays, for me, became an opportunity to extend my lead. I made it a point to come back every new year in better shape than I left last. I would work out and sometimes even abstain from Christmas dinner as an act of personal discipline.
So these all or nothing tendencies, particularly when it comes to food, are possibly innate and maybe a result of his challenging relationship with his dad, which he actually alludes to himself. His father seemed to put a lot of pressure on him, and it seemed like he felt a big responsibility to do him right. And we see throughout the series that he will often push himself so hard and so far and actually shame himself for anything less than excellence. But in the end, this is actually what maybe holds him back.
I was looking at the building, and it dawned on me that we hadn't actually climbed to the top of the Burj Khalifa. And my sense of accomplishment turned into a dejected sense of failure.
It might sound strange coming from a trainer, but you really have to keep a close eye on him in terms of pushing too hard. He'll just keep going until he dies or gets injured.
Well, I can't run in the morning, and I talked all that crap.
So in Will's case, climbing 160 stories wasn't enough. He had to literally go to the tip-top toe of that building, whatever a tip-top toe is. But same with meeting his step goal. Like, he had to literally run the equivalent of a marathon every day to feel that he did enough. And the result was that he actually injured himself, which lost him the step challenge in the end. Trivial maybe, but I would say symbolic nonetheless. Now, I say goals are great. I am a strong believer in goals. And like I said, I too am a very goal-oriented person. But when reaching and exceeding the goal becomes an obsession that ultimately jeopardizes the end goal of better health and happiness, it's really a slippery slope. And I know this personally because I've experienced the cost of striving for absolute perfection. I mean, I would say his therapist said it best.
And this is such a danger to people who start succeeding, especially when they start succeeding young. You've set yourself up that you have to keep winning.
Now, I am not diagnosing anything specific to Will. I actually think he seems to be doing a really great job acknowledging his own triggers and emotional limitations. But it's worth noting that perfectionist traits are more common in folks with eating disorders or disordered eating compared to the general population. So this is one reason why I think extreme diet challenges like these do require a real risk-benefit analysis. Here's what I've learned about perfectionism. It can often keep you locked in a rigid mindset and a behavior pattern that maybe doesn't actually serve you very well in the long run. You spend so much time trying to be perfect that it kills authenticity and leaves no room for development, growth, or even failure. And Will himself has previously said that failure is essential for success. So it sounds like he's taking a page out of his own book by reframing his goal and focusing instead on authenticity.
Because I can do anything when I, tap into that soldier.
Right, so
Right.
it's not about the harsh energy. It's
Your harsh,
more about-
a more sustainable mindset.
When I was in university and beating myself up over getting an A- over an A+, one of the most impactful things that my father, who was a professor, ever said to me about my perfectionism was, Abby, if you put yourself on a pedestal like this, you'll have nowhere left to grow. And he's totally right. So I feel like Will is starting to realize that perfectionism is no longer necessarily a strength, because in reality, it sometimes reduces life down to a very boring series of motions with very little purpose or pleasure. So ultimately, what is my advice? I say the goal here needs to change. If Will was my client, I would probably tell him to put the weight loss challenge on the back burner. I don't think it's actually helping him write the book, and I also don't think it's going to net out any positive health outcome either. My focus instead would be twofold. One, to focus on giving himself some mental space for healing as he unearths potentially painful memories. The weight gain or weight loss right now is such a distraction from everything else going on. It's just so not about the food. And from what I can see, I also think he kind of knows this.
202 flat would be on schedule. Your expert opinion, Mr. Ferguson, does that have anything to do with my age or more to do with my food selection?
I think it's got a little bit to do with your brain.
It's not about the weight or the book as much as what it says about my mind. My mind is suffering and subject to the same appetites and desires and cravings and self-destructive behavior as everybody else.
And his team also seems to know that putting the weight loss on the back burner is in his best interest as well, even if at face value, it may be read as like a cop-out or a failure.
Will quitting the show may look like a failure to a lot of people, but there's actually another way to look at it, as a breakthrough. Will is choosing himself. He's not hiding behind humor or control or the idea of winning. Instead, he's giving himself space to process and deal with his past.
Sometimes taking a step back and not performing, not producing, not succeeding in the conventional sense is the best evidence of life progress. So my second suggestion on this is that when and if Will does decide to revisit the food and exercise piece, I would recommend shifting the focus from any kind of end goal towards the process. In other words, rather than being goal-oriented, to shift to being process-oriented. And I think Will actually comes to this realization himself when he realized that the structure of this kind of high production weight loss series isn't actually serving him. It's not helping his mental health, it's not helping his physical health, and it's not even helping him reach the weight goal.
Like, don't tell me about the schedule. I don't want the show or something. Like, that mindset is disruptive to me in the creative process.
Further to that, he comes to realize that the weight loss goal or book writing goal isn't actually helpful at all. And the process and what he learns from it is actually the most valuable piece.
Sometimes achieving the actual goal earns you almost nothing, but the journey itself teaches you everything you need to know.
Being process-oriented towards his weight loss journey is similar to applying the intuitive eating concept of data collection. Losing 20 pounds instantly wouldn't really teach us anything about nutrition or our bodies if it was just to happen to us. But if we were to focus on the process, we would have a lot more motivation to maintain the behaviors that serve us and to let go of those that don't. So asking ourselves questions like, how does cutting 500 calories make us feel? How do we feel after our second workout of the day? Do we binge on the weekends? Are we cranky all the time? Is our sleep affected? Do we feel energized? How's our digestion? Can we eat like this forever, or are we just going to crash, binge, or become very unhappy people? This is the introspective information that really helps shape our behaviors with better awareness in the long term. I also think that when we set numeric weight loss goals like 20 pounds in 20 weeks, that we lose sight of the forest from the trees. Or in a metaphor used by Will himself, we get lost worrying about the wall rather than each individual brick. In the series, Will talks about how his father made his brother and him build a wall as a project, and he always used to feel so defeated looking at this huge wall that he needed to build. But his father would say, forget about the wall, worry about that one brick. It's the same thing with weight loss. The wall is the weight loss goal, and often it can become really distracting when we see this big gaping hole that we know we need to fill and we don't know where to start. Start with what you can manage every day. Start with what you can actually control. What can we accomplish that we have control over? So that could mean I'm gonna work out 3 days this week, or I'm gonna have salad with my lunch 4 days this week. Let's just focus on that goal, and when we meet it, we reevaluate it to continue or add on. I think the Will Smith series actually paints a pretty authentic and nuanced look at the intersection of one's relationship with food and body and everything else going on in their life. And also, it specifically highlights the role of perfectionism in weight loss journeys. I'm really glad that Will has a skilled team here who genuinely seems to have his best interest at heart, but I also know that most people looking to lose weight do not have those same supports. This can and often is a slippery slope. I know because I was there and it resulted in a pretty severe ED. So I acknowledge that for a lot of you, weight loss is very much desired. But this is just my reminder to really know your triggers, weigh out the benefits and risks of dieting, and to focus on more gentle nutrition if dieting is not supportive for you. And if this is not triggering, please check out my video on gentle nutrition tips for weight loss, which you can see right here. And on that note, that is all that I have for you guys today. If you like this video, be sure to give it the thumbs up. Leave me a comment below on your thoughts on the Will Smith documentary. Thank you again to Built Bar for sponsoring. Subscribe, and I will see you next time on Abby's Kitchen. Bye.